Hello. The book Amber Lee and I have chosen is Stolen Words by Melanie Florence, illustrated by Gabriel Grimard. The story begins with a happy Aboriginal toddler being released from school and picked up by her grandfather. However, during the walk home from school, the granddaughter asks her grandparent how to say grandfather in Cree, to which he sadly explains that "I don't remember," resulting in the toddler losing her happiness and the story taking on a more somber tone. From there, the grandfather explains how he was abducted as a child and taken into residential schools, where he was beaten and forced to conform to the European settler ways. This leads to the problem that the story aims to overcome, which is addressing the trauma caused by residential schools while attempting to rejuvenate the cultures said schools tried to exterminate. The rest of the story follows the granddaughter and how she takes the initiative in both making herself and grandfather happy again, while also too offering a viable solution to counteract the effects residential schools still have on society today. The conclusion is the reason why we chose it for our presentation, in hopes our fellow cohorts introduce the story to their own students down the line. Talking about residential schools is a challenging topic, especially if you feel like you come from a place of ignorance about the subject, not fully knowing what the experience was. However, it is a topic children need to be introduced to, as it was an experience lived by Canadian children, whom we will be teaching, and so, even though one need not know the full experience, it is still imperative to share the story of residential schools, because simply the awareness the story brings to the subject is a solution to counteract the harsh effects still felt by both residential schools and the greater European settler colonization attempt. Moreover, outside the solution within the story shedding light on the controversial topic of residential schools, we also want to introduce this story for three other important reasons. First, it forces readers to think about their place in society in respect to others. Specifically, readers are directed to contemplate how they grew up as children and reflect upon that upbringing in respect to how Native children grew up in residential schools. Secondly, a really cool thing about this story is that beyond critical literacy and engaging with real-world issues, students are forced to think critically with the text itself, as the images provided force students to think about the words being said. We see this with the images of the raven, which functions as a symbol of native languages. In the beginning, the ravens become locked up as a result of residential schools trying to suppress Aboriginal culture. But as the story unfolds, we see the raven set free through the efforts of the young girl in the conclusion, and so readers think about what that means for language and culture to be set free. Finally, without giving up the ending, the story offers a simple, practical, universal solution to solving the effects of residential schools. But in sum, the emphasis is that it's on each one of us to take the initiative to counteract the negative effects of both residential schools and the greater European settler attempt at colonization.